everybody, what's up and welcome back. Today we are taking a look at how to grow this beautiful Agrostemma. You might also know this one as corn cockle. Couple different names for this one, but I like to grow it in the cut flower garden because it's absolutely gorgeous. Before we get started, as always, you want to make sure you're always doing your own research into these flowers before you decide to plant them. Many of them are toxic. Agrostemma is one such flower, so it's important that you're always doing your research, making sure to keep your kids and your pets safe and everybody safe in the garden, as well as yourself, obviously. Also, definitely want to consider whether or not different plant species are invasive or on a noxious weed list, depending upon where you live. Always just taking the proper precautions before you introduce anything out into the yard. Getting into this, growing Agrostemma is extremely easy. In fact, it is one of the first flowers, the first hardy annual flowers rather, that I ever grew. Usually they come in shades of kind of a purple, a little bit of a darker color, darker purple pink color, kind of like a magenta or white. In the mix, it seems that the majority of the seeds are always this lavender in-between color. Very few whites, very few dark colors from the mixes I've got in the past. This flower just screams cottage garden. The way it, looks carefree and blows in the breeze. I think it's absolutely great. There are a couple options when planting Agrostemma. First and foremost, we will need to decide when we actually are going to plant this flower. This flower specifically is a cool season hardy annual flower, and what that just means is that it thrives when the weather is cool. Since it is a hardy annual, we know that it's going to be able to withstand some frost and freeze and even some snow, depending upon how harsh your winter climate is. So, for me, here in Zone 6B7, I am in Kentucky. This Agrostemma is tolerant to my cold winters, but it is going to need a little bit of extra help from me depending upon how harsh that winter is. There are a couple of options. I like to direct sow this seed in the fall. Now, I'm not quite sure whether or not this seed requires cold stratification, but in general, what I like to do is I like to put the seed packet in the fridge for about a week first and then take it out and sow my seeds. This is just kind of a precaution that I take. I'm not quite sure if it absolutely needs it, but I do seem to get really good germination, so that's what I do. So as I mentioned, there are a couple of options. I usually plant these at the end of September, usually about 4 to 6 weeks before my first frost date in the fall. It really just depends on where you live. I have direct sown these in the past and had pretty good results from direct sowing these seeds. I've also started these seeds in seed trays and had great luck with that, with germinating the seeds and then transplanting them into the garden. Really your choice as to which one you would like to try. Throughout that entire germination process, you want to make sure the soil is adequately moist and everything like that. While you can start them in trays indoors, what I actually do is kind of a hybrid of both. I have a seed tray, I put the seeds in it, and then I move the seed tray outdoors in the fall for them to germinate outdoors. I do this because I don't have any grow lights or anything like that, and the temperatures, the cooler temperatures in the fall are perfect for germination, so I've never really had any problems with that. Just got to make sure that, keep a row cover on it to keep the bugs out and keep the bugs from eating them as they germinate. After transplant, I just transplant these into an unheated hoop house or a low tunnel. That's actually necessary for me here because our winters do get cold, usually down to about -2 Fahrenheit at the coldest part of the season for a couple days. Otherwise, low temperatures in the teens and 20s where I live, sometimes a little bit of snow, mostly just really cold and really wet. If you don't have access to an unheated hoop house, planting these into the ground unprotected might be an option if you live somewhere where the winter temperatures are a little bit milder than maybe what I have. In the past, I have planted these directly into the ground without protection here in my zone, and I had about a 50% survival rate that winter. So the whole process of discovering how cold tolerant plants are and how they will behave in your area definitely is a process of trial and error. It will be different for everyone, so I can't give you a for sure, yes or no for whether or not these will survive in your yard. If you do not have access to a hoop house and it's too cold where you live, you also have the option of winter sowing these using the winter sowing method, which works really great. You'll have some nice plants that you can transplant as soon as the soil can be worked in the springtime. Sowing these seeds in the spring is another option for those who maybe have too harsh a winter, spring, and summer that is relatively mild. This might be an excellent choice for you to direct sow in the garden or to transplant into the garden in the spring. Beyond planting, these really require very minimal care. Don't fertilize them, and in general they grow very well up to maybe 3 to 3.5 feet tall. Very large flower blooms, usually up to about 2 inches depending upon your spacing. That's really about it for this video. Hopefully it was helpful. As always, you can leave any questions or comments that you have down below. I'm always trying to answer those. Usually I get to them in about a week, sometimes longer depending upon how busy I am with work and the channel and everything. The channel, be sure to subscribe. I'd absolutely love to have you. We are making new content all the time. Sometimes it's DIY projects, sometimes it's gardening, could be even soap making. You really never know quite what I'm gonna upload, so if you like a little bit of a surprise, you might like this channel too. Always gonna just keep on growing. To tell your friends, hit the little bell icon, all that good stuff. I hope that you guys are having such an amazing day. I will talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.